Disney parks have lots of classic beloved rides. Rides that guests have loved for ages and would not like to see changed at all. Of course, Walt was a firm believer that his parks would never be complete, and that they would grow and change, and sometimes that means changing existing rides into something else. This has worked many times for Imagineers, but that's not always the case. Today, we'll take a look at the 5 worst attempts to change a Disney ride. Space Mountain Mission 2, Disneyland Paris.
We are ready to begin our first voyage around the moon.
When Tomorrowland opened, it was a stark white geometric land born of the space age with swirling rockets and the wonder of the American freeway system. It celebrated the atomic age and the challenge of outer space, which was really important concepts to Americans during that time. But Imagineers knew that those concepts would not work in a park like Euro Disney. They also knew that they needed to come up with a vision of tomorrow that could never become today, kind of like a future envisioned by the past. That's how they came up with Discoveryland. Discoveryland is a golden bronze seaport based on European fantasy writers like Jules Verne and H.G. Wells. Of course, Tomorrowland rides would also have to change a bit to fit this new take on the land. So Space Mountain changed to Space Mountain, from the Earth to the Moon, and was based on Jules Verne's novel of the same name. Paris Space Mountain was designed as a launch coaster, blasting guests up into a cannon bolted to the mountain's face, and into a fantastical journey through the stars set to a riveting orchestral score, and filled with special effects matching the steampunk styling of the land, and the fantasy novel origins of the ride. This ride was beautiful, and it fit perfectly with the changes that the Imagineers made with the land. But in 2005, the ride was briefly closed and reopened as Space Mountain Mission 2. This was not a bad ride at all. Actually, many people could call it the best version of any Space Mountain ride. It had astounding effects, a perfect score, and a thrill no other Disney coaster could match. But the sad thing was that it eliminated almost every reference to Jules Verne's work. The ride became distinctly sci-fi, which is what Imagineers wanted to avoid in the first place. In October 2016, Disneyland Paris announced that their Space Mountain would soon take on the Star Wars-themed Hyperspace Mountain overlay to celebrate the resort's 25th anniversary. Rocket Rods, Disneyland. We've talked many a time about rocket rods, but this ride could not be left out of the list. After all, this ride replaced one of guests' favorite rides, the People Mover. In the 1990s, Disney planned to open Tomorrowland 2055, but things didn't go as planned for this project and it was canceled. If you want to learn more about it, check out our Tomorrowland 2055 video. After the project was canceled, it became New Tomorrowland, which was an underwhelming overhaul compared to what Tomorrowland 2055 would have been. And the only significant new attraction was Rocket Rods. Imagineers took the People Mover and tried to change it into a new thrill ride that promised to complete in 3 minutes the course that took the People Mover 16 minutes. The problem was that the budget for this ride didn't allow them to change the tracks of the People Mover, and the current tracks were not prepared for the high speed and energy that the Rocket Rods needed. So the ride had to slow down at every turn and then speed up again, and this resulted in a ride that was broken down more than it was functional. Just a little over a month after its grand opening, Rocket Rods was closed for refurbishment due to mechanical problems. It opened again after 3 months. Guests were critical of this ride, of course, because the lines were long and the ride was definitely not worth it. Rocket Rods closed again on September 25, 2000 for a supposed refurbishment that would last around 6 months. But there was no work being done during this time. And in April 2001, it was announced that Rocket Rods would not open again. For a number of reasons, the People Mover wasn't able to return, so the expansive track weaving throughout the land is simply empty. The Enchanted Tiki Room, under new management, Magic Kingdom. The Enchanted Tiki Room opened at Disneyland in 1963, and it was a groundbreaking attraction with the first ever use of Disney's patented audio animatronic creatures.
Audio animatronics?
Right, audio animatronics. Audio for sound.
See, and electronically animated by sound.
The attraction was an instant classic, so in 1971, it was replicated in Walt Disney World with the name Tropical Serenade. Tropical Serenade was also a success in the Magic Kingdom, so it remained untouched until 1997. In an effort to become a little bit edgier and reinvigorate aging attractions, Disney designed a new show for the Tiki Room in Florida. This new show was called the Enchanted Tiki Room, under new management, and it added Iago and Zazu as new co-workers of the Tiki Room. You would think that the show would remain practically the same with the addition of these two new characters, but you would be wrong. The show would start like always with a cast member waking up Jose and the birds to start singing until Iago comes in and interrupts. He basically tells the birds that their show is boring and that the people would not like it. Iago announces that he and Zazu have purchased the Tiki Room and tells the choir that they'd better not get too attached to their original show. If they want to keep their jobs, they've got to get hip. This makes Uoa, the Tiki goddess of disaster, mad, so she ends Iago flying as he disappears in a burst of fog. The wooden tikis take over, rapping. Yes, you heard that right, rapping. Iago comes back burnt and on crutches. He proclaims the new Tiki Room under his management a rousing success and decrees that this place will be a gold mine. This mess of an overlay deserves its own video, but for now we'll finish by saying that thankfully the attraction caught fire in January 2011, and Imagineers, instead of closing down the attraction forever, decided to return the original show, borrowing Disneyland's original name, Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. Journey into your imagination, Epcot. The opening of Epcot brought to Walt Disney World a new, unusual idea. A Disney park that did not focus on the fairy tale part of the world and did not bring any Disney characters to life. Instead, Epcot invented its own lovable characters.
Hello there, I'm the Dream Finder, and my little purple friend here is a figment of my imagination.
Figment for sure.
The Imagination Pavilion contained the charming dark ride Journey into Imagination, where guests rode along with the musical Dream Finder, a kindly, dreamy inventor, and his parrot-sized purple dragon, Figment. This ride was beautiful. It followed Dreamfinder and Figment through a musical adventure of arts, literature, entertainment, and music. One little spark. The famous Sherman Brothers song was featured throughout the ride, and it talked about how just a little bit of inspiration could create an entire world of imagination. But then, Disney decided to retheme the dark ride to match the film in the pavilion's 3D theater, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. The ride was renamed Journey into Your Imagination. Its track was literally cut in half, reducing the ride time from 12 minutes to 6. Figment made a single cameo, hidden in a constellation on the ceiling, and Dreamfinder was completely gone. It became a cold and quirky tour of the Imagination Institute's Sense Labs, and it failed to inspire or excite anyone. This ride received so much criticism from the public that it only survived for 2 years before it was replaced. It reopened as Journey into Imagination with Figment, its current incarnation. Figment received a much larger role this time around, appearing in every single show scene. The famous theme tune of the original ride, One Little Spark, was also back, but fans were just as critical of the new version. They should have just brought back the original version. Stitch's Great Escape, Magic Kingdom. Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter opened at Magic Kingdom on June 20th, 1995. Reusing the circular theaters of Magic Kingdom's mission to Mars, the attraction placed guests in shoulder restraints staring down a massive teleportation tube. Of course, something goes wrong and a bloodthirsty carnivorous alien was teleported into the tube. With a flash of strobe lighting, the creature appeared to break out of the tube. From then on, the experience was in total darkness as 3D sound and tactile effects saw the audience splattered with blood and terrorized by the menacing alien as it drooled down their necks. The ride was terrifying, and some guests, ignoring the ride's name and the many warnings throughout the queue, started complaining that the ride was too intense. For this and other reasons, the ride was closed altogether. But instead of creating a whole new other attraction, Imagineers decided to transform the experience by adding Stitch to it. The attraction, which opened in 2004, became Stitch's Great Escape, keeping the same story to the ride, only changing the alien to Stitch. In this attraction, Stitch escaped into the audience, where he spit on the guests, burps chili dogs in their faces, and bounced on their shoulders. This attraction became one of the most hated Disney attractions ever. It was too intense for young kids thanks to the pitch black darkness, but too juvenile for everyone else. In 2016, Disney decided that Stitch's Great Escape would switch to a seasonal operation, opening only when the crowd levels at Magic Kingdom peaked around holidays. But when the 2017 holiday celebrations ended, Stitch's Great Escape's run did too, and the attraction was quietly and permanently closed on January 6, 2018. Any other rides you would add to the list? Let us know in the comments. If you like the channel, check out our online store where we have lots of products with cool designs like these. Follow the link in the description, and also be sure to check out our Instagram page for a behind-the-scenes look on Fastpass Facts. See you next time!